Hi everyone. Our childhoods act as a blueprint for our emotional and behavioral tendencies, influencing how we interact in relationships. Based on years of research, Dr. Milan and K. Yerkovich identified 5 distinct love styles. These styles are subconscious patterns that dictate how we respond to and interact with romantic partners. By recognizing these patterns, we can better understand ourselves, address unhealthy tendencies, and foster meaningful connections. The 5 love styles. Number 1. The pleaser grow up in homes where a parent's anger, criticism, or overprotectiveness dominates. These children learn early that their role is to avoid causing stress or dissatisfaction. In a bid to avoid negative responses, they suppress their own needs and focus on making others happy. They rarely, if ever, receive comfort themselves, instead, becoming little caretakers for their parents. Discomfort with conflict or disagreements. Avoidance of confrontation by giving in, apologizing, or placating others. A tendency to say yes to everything, even at their own expense. Struggles with honesty, sometimes telling small lies to avoid displeasing others. Overextending themselves to meet others' needs while neglecting their own well-being. Challenges in relationships. Pleasers may feel overwhelmed by the constant pressure to keep their partner happy. When they feel like they're failing, they may shut down emotionally or even abandon the relationship to escape the stress. They often have trouble setting boundaries, which can lead to resentment. Steps for growth. Be honest about their feelings and desires, set and maintain healthy boundaries, focus on their own needs instead of prioritizing others' happiness, develop conflict resolution skills instead of avoiding disagreements. Number 2. The victim often grow up in chaotic, abusive, or highly unpredictable environments. To survive, they become submissive and compliant, trying to stay under the radar to avoid conflict or harm. They may retreat into an imaginary world or fantasy to escape the harsh realities of their everyday life. This coping mechanism often carries into adulthood, low self-esteem, and a tendency to blame themselves for problems, high levels of anxiety and depression. Passive and overly adaptable in relationships, often avoiding confrontation, a tendency to seek partners who are controlling, mimicking the dynamics of their childhood, discomfort with calm or peaceful situations which may feel unfamiliar and unsettling. Challenges in relationships. Victims struggle to express their needs and desires, often suppressing their emotions to avoid conflict. They may tolerate unhealthy relationships or abuse because they fear standing up for themselves. This dynamic can perpetuate cycles of toxicity and low self-worth. Steps for growth. Practice self-love and recognize their inherent worth. Build confidence in asserting themselves and their needs. Break patterns of passivity and develop stronger boundaries. Seek partners who respect and uplift them rather than control them. Number 3. The controller often grow up in environments where they lacked safety, consistency, or protection. As a result, they develop a strong need to take charge and control their surroundings to avoid feeling vulnerable. They associate control with safety and use it as a shield against the fear and helplessness they felt as children. A strong preference for independence and self-reliance, difficulty trusting others and delegating tasks, anger as a tool for maintaining power and avoiding vulnerability, rigid, inflexible thinking, but may also display sporadic or unpredictable behavior. Discomfort with situations that force them to step out of their comfort zones. Challenges in relationships. Controllers often struggle with intimacy and emotional vulnerability. Their need for control can make them domineering or intimidating, pushing their partners away. They may avoid emotional conversations and prefer solving problems on their own, creating distance in the relationship. Steps for growth: release their need for control and allow themselves to trust others. Acknowledge and process their vulnerability rather than masking it with anger. Embrace emotional openness and seek healthy ways to cope with fear. Value collaboration and compromise within relationships. Number 4. The Vacillator are raised in homes with inconsistent or unpredictable parental attention. At times, their parents may be loving and attentive, but this behavior is often fleeting. Over time, the child develops a fear of abandonment and a deep sense of inadequacy. As adults, they seek the unconditional love they lacked but struggle to trust it when they find it. High emotional sensitivity and perceptiveness, a tendency to idealize new relationships only to become disillusioned later. Deep fear of abandonment leading to clinginess or emotional overreaction. Frequent feelings of being misunderstood or unappreciated. Rapid emotional shifts between hope and disappointment. Challenges in relationships. Vacillators often place high expectations on their partners, seeking them to fill the emotional void from their childhood. When those expectations aren't met, they may feel hurt, rejected, or angry. Their sensitivity to changes in their partner's behavior can lead to insecurity and tension. Steps for growth: vacillators must learn to set realistic expectations for themselves and their partners. Develop patience and take time to build trust in relationships. Manage disappointment constructively and resist the urge to withdraw. Embrace emotional stability rather than chasing intense highs and lows. Number 5. The avoider grow up in homes that emphasize independence over emotional connection. They learn to suppress their emotions and rely on themselves, as their parents provided little comfort or affection. This fosters a strong sense of self-reliance but limits their ability to express vulnerability. Preference for logic and detachment over emotional expression. Discomfort with intense emotions in themselves or others. A strong desire for personal space and autonomy. Difficulty recognizing or addressing their own emotional needs. Avoidance of vulnerability and intimacy. Challenges in relationships. Avoiders can seem distant or emotionally unavailable, leaving their partners feeling unimportant or disconnected. Their reluctance to engage in deep emotional conversations can hinder intimacy and prevent the growth of the relationship. Steps for growth: open up emotionally and communicate their feelings honestly. Embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. Build trust and closeness with their partners by sharing their inner world. Recognize and address their own emotional needs instead of suppressing them. By understanding the roots and behaviors of these love styles, we can identify areas for personal growth and make conscious choices to improve our relationships. True healing and change come from self-awareness, emotional growth, and a commitment to healthier interactions. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe my YouTube channel